kids, strong men. I don't know if you have daughters. You do. What is some advice and what are some of the things that you could pass down to me and to the audience of really being a good dad and being there, et cetera? You mentioned not letting them back in the house. I'm sure if your daughters did come in, you'd let them in, but tell us a bit about that.
My method works for me, and everybody has a different method. And I always say, everybody has all these beliefs, but, the kids all turn out different. So my kids, I got divorced many years ago. My children have lived with me full time for many years. So being a single dad to two teenage daughters was challenging because if I had boys, obviously I related a little bit more. But what I do with my kids is I tell them the truth. And I think too many parents don't want to tell them the truth and tell them the downsides and the upsides. And I very, very rarely will ever tell my kids no, because I tell them it's their life to make it great or to screw it up. So I let them make a lot of decisions. I also hold them accountable. So like when they want to apply for colleges, my younger one's now applying, well, she's already fully applied, but she's got to go out. And if she wants help, she wants SAT tutors, she wants guitar lessons, but go figure it out on your own. I'll pay for it, but you got to figure it out. But I let them really experiment with things. So my younger daughter wanted to go to NYU last summer for a program. Figure it out, go. But what I won't tell them is no to everything. Because when I went to college, I noticed the kids whose parents were always on top of them and always doing everything. They cracked. And these were the kids who had big problems. And all of a sudden, this freedom, they couldn't handle it. I watch my older daughter, who's now in college, who's had the freedom to do whatever she's kind of wanted. When she got to college, she's not going crazy. It's like more of the same. So it doesn't stimulate them as much. But I let them experiment and try things. It's their life. Doesn't mean it'll work for everybody, but it's what I believe in.
No, I thank you for sharing that. It seems like too much pressure may not be a good thing, and it can cause a crack, just like pressure does, right? That's pretty awesome. Let's talk a little bit about you personally. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give to your young self, 15 to 20 years old? What would it be?
I've always been very lucky that I never really worry about things. I don't stress about things. And I don't think anything's a problem until it's really a problem. And so many people nowadays have so much anxiety. And I feel terrible for them because when I listen to them, they're worried about things that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. So I've always been lucky in that sense. So from that perspective, I stick to more of the same. And I know that I was actually right in that one, not to worry about things until they're a problem. Where I would push myself more was to take more risks. Because I kick myself now for a lot of things I didn't do. I don't kick myself for anything I did do. I even had a marriage that didn't work. I don't regret that because I got two great kids out of it. I regret things I didn't do. And I think I should have pushed harder, which is why I'm still working hard now to make sure I keep pushing myself.
I love that. Yeah, just to add to that audience, the worrying thing, I'm a warrior, not a warrior like a fighter, but I worry a lot. But, someone also mentioned before, if you worry before it happens, you're just worrying twice. And you may be worrying and it may not happen. So you're just going to exhaust yourself. And I've been working on that. I think that's very important. Thank you for that, Todd. What you live, from what I understand and what I've seen, you live in the Porsche building, or do you have a condo in that building?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's pretty neat. I have a funny story with that, and I'll share with you. My wife and I, during the pandemic, we were at Carpaccio in Bal Harbour, and we had our baby, and this family turns around and they go, "Oh, cute baby," and they're talking, and my wife turns around and she goes, "That's the guy that built the Porsche building." And I'm like, "Sure he is." Like it's late. I'm trying to juggle two kids, and I met Gus that way. Gus Strahl, I believe is his last name, with Desert Developments. Which is a coincidence. I'm trying to get him on the podcast. He said he'll do it with Gil. How is it like living in the Porsche building, having your car be pulled up to your apartment? Is that something you say is like no regrets in being on the beach in the Porsche building? Or is it, how would you describe it? Because we don't have that out here. So I'm trying to figure that out.
I've known Gil for many years. That's not why I'm in the building, because I was actually in another building. I was in Trump Tower, the building Gil actually lives in, before we moved over to Porsche. And I don't really want to ruin it for anybody. But, it's kind of like anything else. You think it's so creative and so clever and so crazy. And everybody who comes over is like, wow, But once I've been there for 6 years, it's like, kind of like when they park the cars. It's like that. That's what I meant earlier when I said no material object will keep you happy very long. So you think it's great, strangers think it's great, but once you have this, it's like anything else. Like, yeah, that's just how they park the cars.
That's funny. So it's just in the beginning, it's like everything else, right? You get it, you enjoy it for like that first month, it's eye opening, and then everything from there is just like, well, it's just a regular thing. Yep, it's just a regular thing. All right. So Todd, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? What would make you at peace or comfortable, or what would you like to see out of the next 10 years or 5 years? I know those are two different time frames, but let's say in the future.
Of course, I want to continue to stay healthy. I work out a lot. That without your health, every single thing anyone talks about is completely useless, because your money's useless, everything's useless. So I do focus on a lot of health. I eat healthy, I work out. As far as business goes, of course, I want to continue to grow my company the same organic way I've been growing it, by buying out other properties and buying out other companies that do what I do. And as far as the new arena that I'm moving into is, I look forward to giving speeches and lecturing and to teaching people more about real estate. And now that my younger daughter will be leaving to college next year, I would travel more to do that. So that's why I'm building up the base now and putting my message out there. So right now I wouldn't want to travel because I want the last couple of months my daughter at home. But once I'm a so-called empty nester and I have no kids at home, my wife works a lot. So I would definitely want to get on the road and travel and, mentor younger people and talk in high schools and colleges and things like that about real estate and give back.
That's cool, Todd. Thank you. And finally, we didn't touch on this, but I think we should. And a lot of people that I've had on, for their right mental mind state, they mentioned working out and staying healthy and exercising. How often at your age, you're 50 years old, you mentioned, do you work out, and how important is that to someone, or even an entrepreneur, or even just a man at your age?
Well, look, I'm going to be fair to the younger people too. I always ate healthy my whole life, and I always worked out. When I was very young and I was working my hardest and the longest hours when I first started buying real estate, I was going out too much, eating too unhealthy, and not sleeping enough. So I gained weight. I didn't get fat, but I was probably in the worst shape. And then I found triathlons and I got obsessed with that. I've even completed Ironman triathlons.
You have?
So I've gone the whole distance, and I'm running next week a half marathon with my brother just for fun. So you have got to take care of your body, because getting out there and getting fresh air, whether you're running, biking, swimming, or whether you're going to the gym and lifting weights, there is no better reliever of stress and pressure. And when you feel good, you're going to be so much more successful. Luckily, I'm not out of shape, but I can imagine, I know people who are, they just don't feel as confident as someone who's impressive. And I come across it. I have a friend who comes in, is actually in my office, and, the guy's 6'5" and he's jacked and he's great looking. Like, I know this guy's got confidence for that, but he works out very hard to look in great shape. So your health is everything. So you got to take it seriously and don't slack on that.
Long-term investment. I appreciate it. Todd, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to add before we conclude this episode? It's up to you. I know you could share your Instagram. I mentioned it so many times, but anything you want to add to the audience would be great.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add is I want to thank you, Simon. I want to thank people like you, and thank you because you guys are doing this on your time and your dime to give back. And that's really what it's about. There's really the only value to you to do this is to help other people. And people have to realize when they're watching stuff like this, how much credit they have to give, because I can now go on YouTube for free and watch you and everything you set up and all the time invested. And I can turn you on and off and fast forward and rewind for free. And people like you are fantastic, and you're making the world a better place. And I appreciate you. And I'm glad you have me as a part of this and be a small part of it. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. And not only that, because you were my guest, my wife probably will treat me nice for like the next couple of weeks, because she's a diehard fan of the show. She thought it was one of the coolest things. And I told her, I said, look, Veronica, I got Todd coming on. And
well, now you have to get my wife on. My wife is a business owner.
If she wants to come on, you're going to have my wife in the background right here with the biggest smile on her face, that moving away. I think your wife's one of the coolest people on the show. She says it like it is.
Yeah.
I really love that. I respect that. I grew up, again, I've seen it all. We'll talk about those things if we ever meet. But I would love for her to come on. So if you convince her,
I
that
think I
would
can.
buy
I
me-
think I can make it happen as long as your wife is a co-host with you.
Oh, she should do the interview. Listen, that would give me maybe 2 months of quiet time at home and comfort. I would probably get everything. I may get tea, I may get food, etc. This is going to be great. So please, if she wants to come on, and if you ever want to come on, let me know. If I'm ever in Florida, which I will be soon, actually.
Yes.
We did invest in a property there, so I have to see it, and I'll hit you up. But this has been an honor of mine. I look at you as someone that I can personally learn from. As you mentioned, there's years of experience in those books. There's years of experience on your Instagram and in your book. And I love learning from people like you. So genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming on and giving me this time. Thank you, Todd. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to follow Todd. Make sure to purchase his book. He mentioned it's for a great cause. He gives the proceeds back to charity. I will be buying the book as well. I'm going to link it as well wherever it's sold on the description. I'll put all of Todd's information. He seems very approachable, very nice. His Instagram is straightforward advice from his life experience. And I truly enjoy it. I appreciate it. You could also catch him on The Real Housewives of Miami, staying out of trouble, getting out of those arguments, but really just enjoying his life. And Florida, what a time to be alive and have a good footprint in South Florida. I think it's amazing. You guys are blessed over there. So I know that's why you're always smiling. So this